Eden by obsessmuch. Read by SsjDeBusk. I don't own Harry Potter or Eden. Harry Potter is owned and written by J.K. Rowling and the WB, and Eden is written by obsessmuch on fanfiction.net. Chapter 37. Love. Juliet. Wilt thou be gone? Is it not yet near day? It was the nightingale, and not the lark, that pierced the fearful hollow of thine ear. Nightly she sings on yon pomegranate tree. Believe me, love, it was a nightingale. Romeo. It was a lark, the herald of the morn, no nightingale. Look, love, what envious streak do lace the severing clouds of yonder east. Night's candles are burnt out, and Yacurn day stands tiptoe on the misty mountain tops. I must be gone and live, or stay and die. William Shakespeare. Romeo and Juliet. Lucius reaches down and takes the hand of the unconscious body on the floor. It just doesn't seem real. Nothing about this seems real. It seems separate from here and now. I seem separate from here and now, like I'm watching a film or reading a book. I don't even feel relief. If anything, I feel a little sick, exhausted. Lucius turns, holding his free hand out to me. Come on, he says, keeping his voice soft. We need to get out of here as soon as possible. Wordlessly, I reach out and slide my fingers into his own, and he takes a small silver key out of his robes, and all in one moment we're squeezed into a tiny airless void, and the three of us, linked by our hands, we come to land in my bedroom. Lucius drops my hand, keeping hold of his son's. Put him back in his own bed, he mutters. If he regains consciousness anywhere else, he will be suspicious. His suspicions will be raised. He locks his gaze onto mine. I will return here shortly, and then I shall speak with you. He disappears into thin air, taking his son with him. I blink, taking a deep breath. Slowly, I make my way over to the bed and lower myself down, oh so slowly, feeling every muscle cry out in protest as I sit on the edge of my bed, my feet only just touching the floor. I have to remind myself to breathe. My fingers dig into the edges of the mattress. I don't know what to think or what to feel. Memories are what fill my brain, nothing but memories of the past hour or so. Brave, intelligent, strong. What do those words mean for us? What name can I put on this, after all? How can I still use just the word fucking for this? Fucking in my lacking of emotion and feeling. Fucking implies sordid alleyways and seedy hotels. Pure and simple sex. That's what fucking is. I can't use that word for this anymore. So what can I use to describe what's going on between us then? Quiet popping noise signals his return into the room. I stand up quickly. Is he safe? I say hesitantly. He smirks grimly and nodded. Safe as he can be. When he wakes, he will be in his own bed, and it will be as if all of yesterday never happened for him. It's not an ideal solution, but it will have to do. It'll have to do. The removal of his son's memories will have to do. What horrible, violating coward's way out will have to do. I shake my head. You didn't have to obliviate him. He arches his eyebrows. What else do you think I could have done? Are we just going to go on with more and more people finding out about us, one by one? A dark glint is gathering in his eyes, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I've seen him like this before. I was prepared to let Weasley's discovery go, he mutters. His Gryffindor's ideal of nobility, and his absurd notion that he might somehow love you, would see to his silence but my son. He trails off for a moment before he collects himself. He has no discretion, he mutters. I know him. He's never been able to keep his mouth shut. If I'd allowed him to remember what he just discovered, then half the world would know by tomorrow lunchtime. And as much as I despise Draco, I just can't let that go. He loves you. He loves you, I exclaim, more indignant than perhaps is necessary given the circumstances. He would have kept it a secret to keep you alive. I know that he would. His mouth twists as he considers my words. Perhaps, he says eventually. But his loose tongue would give us away in the end. Think about it. He couldn't even keep his quest to kill Dumbledore a secret. I draw in a breath. That's true, I suppose, but it's just so cruel, all of it. We could not afford to keep him. We couldn't afford to keep him. We could not afford to allow him to keep that knowledge. Not when we already have Bellatrix suspicions to worry about, he goes on. And now that it's certainly that the Dark Lord himself suspects us to such an extent and now it's a certainty that the Dark Lord himself suspects us to such an extent that he sent someone to spy on us. He turns his face, looking off into the middle distance, temporarily lost in his own thoughts. I knew he thought there was something going on, he mutters. How could he not? Antonin whispering jealous poison into his ear every other moment. And when I spared your life, and when after you had the Weasleys, he trails, bringing his head up to his forehead, rubbing at it before he lowers it again and looks directly at me, frowning. What did you say to him when he asked you to dine with you? What? I asked stupidly. He doesn't roll his eyes or make a scathing comment about my hesitation, as he would have done once. His situation is far too serious for that. When he asked you to die. When he asked to dine with you shortly after Antonin died. He asked, taking rapid steps towards me. Did you say anything to give away any reason to suspect? No, I say hotly, getting my senses back, recovering them. I didn't say anything. I told you that at the time. He looks searchingly into my eyes for a second, but he does not perform legitimacy on me. What reason would you have to lie? He whispers before he turns away from me, striding up and down the room swiftly and with restless energy. I watch his rapid movements. He doesn't know what to do, and neither do I. We're stuck. You notice how I'm cutting out every single "oh God." I will never say that again, by the way. It's not gonna happen. What are we gonna do? I whisper shakily. He looks at me. His eyes are almost wild. He doesn't look like the man that I know. The Lucius Malfoy I know isn't afraid of anything. Except perhaps himself. I've seen him look like this once before, just after we killed Dolohov together. I don't know, he says, with his voice that's hard and harsh. Do you have any suggestions? My mouth opens and closes like an idiotic goldfish as I try to work out what the hell we're going to do. He just shakes his head and laughs darkly. No. Of course you don't, he mutters rapidly, because there's nothing we can do. He starts to walk towards me, and I find myself backing away from him because he's got that dangerous glint in his eyes, one that tells me that there's no guessing what he might do in his fear. My son and sister-in-law's suspicions were already enough to worry us. His voice is so low. His voice is a low current of fear. But if Avery suspects, then there is nothing to keep us safe. No family ties, no dark secrets, nothing. Duty is all that matters to Avery, and his duty is to discover what's going on between us. My back bobs up into the cold stone wall behind me. It might be alright, I say desperately. He doesn't know yet. His hand suddenly pins itself on my throat, pinning me to the wall, as his eyes flare with something close to madness. Yet! he says violently. That's a cruel word, isn't it? Yet? For God's sake, he probably knows more than half of it already. You've seen, as I have, collecting little scraps of information here and there. Every look we've exchanged. He'll have seen every word, every little interaction. Then why didn't you do anything about it? I hiss into his face. If you've known all this time, then why haven't you done anything to stop it? His hand tightens on my throat. What could I have done? He hisses. If I had confronted him or the Dark Lord about it, I would have as good as admitted my guilt. To dispose of Avery would have led to trouble after the suspicious circumstances of Doloff's disappearance. We were lucky enough to escape that little scenario with our lives intact, but if Avery were to go missing too... He trails off as his hand tightens even more, until I'm almost choked in his horrible grip of iron. So what, exactly, am I supposed to have done? He whispers. I look desperately into his face, feeling my throat contract and swell as I choke. And we're ruined, both of us. We're lost. His breath, his harsh breathing slows gradually and he eventually releases my throat as the mad glint in his eye fades away once more. I reach up and massage my sore neck. His lip settles in a thin line as he watches me before he speaks up again. I thought I could keep it a secret. I thought I could protect us both, he murmurs. But this evening it's been proven just how easily it would be for him to discover exactly what's going on. If someone as inept as my son can do it, then so can a highly experienced Death Eater. I take a few deep breaths to steady myself. He doesn't know. I start, but he interrupts me. No, not yet. But he will. His voice isn't harsh or angry with me anymore. He's speaking with an almost calm, yet grim certainty. And as soon as he does, he'll go straight to the Dark Lord. I know him. And when he does that, then both of our lives will be over. I just start to shake uncontrollably. Are you certain? I whisper. He grins without any mirth whatsoever. Absolutely. I myself have disposed of many blood traitors. As soon as a Death Eater betrays their blood, then both they and the Muggle have betrayed it. Then both they and the Muggle they betrayed it for will die instantly. I shiver. Why? It doesn't have to be this way. I reach out, grazing my palm over his cheek. His eyes burn into mine with an intensity that makes me feel dizzy. Why can't we just leave? He stares at me, looking as if I've just told him that the earth is square, that the sky is green. He can't physically comprehend what I've just said. But I won't stop myself now. You and me. Why don't we just go? My voice cracks as I speak. We could escape this place, and we could go anywhere. Somewhere where there's no one to tell us that this is wrong. Somewhere we could be together without anyone to make us feel ashamed. He closes his eyes and shakes his head as if he can hardly bear to hear what I'm saying. You ask the impossible. He says, his voice tight and strained. He opens his eyes as his fingers close around my wrist and wrench my hand away from him before he turns away from me. No, I won't let him shut me out anymore. My hand closes over his shoulder, pulling him back to face me. His expression is a mixture of anger and agony. Is it so wrong that I want to be with you? I whisper fiercely. God knows it should be, after everything you've done to me. But I do, Lucius. I pause as I feel those words sink in, and I realize that it's true. God help me, God help us, both. But it is. His face is rock hard, as it struggles with all the emotion edging its way onto it. He doesn't say anything,